Okay, welcome to the next part in my Fusion tutorials. Today we're going to be continuing to learn how to create objects in Fusion. And in this episode we're going to be doing some sweeping. We're going to be creating some swept objects along some curves. We're also going to be looking further at the timeline and parametric editing and a couple of other things. So let's get started. All right, so my vision for this piece is that it has a handle that comes off of the top that attaches to the side. And I'm going to use a swept object for that. So in order to do that, we're also going to have to work with some planes again. In other words, we're going to have to create an object on the top of our revolved object. I want this to be part of this revolve component, so I'm not going to create a new component for this part. But I am going to create a new sketch. And when I do, you'll notice I can select what plane the sketch is going to live on, and I want it to live right on that top there. Okay. Again, we get oriented right to the top of our object, right where we want to be. And I'm going to use that projection technique to project this little circle here, because that's what I want to eventually form the handle. So I'm going to go from the create here to project. I'm going to project that circle, click OK. And then I'm pretty much done once I've got that circle. That's all I need for this. So I'm going to finish my sketch. Now I want to create that handle, right? I want to create a nice curve handle that comes, kind of sweeps around here. Maybe it's a little playful. Again, this isn't a real object. It's just for fun. So I'm going to create another new sketch. And I'm going to choose that plane that's right in the center of my object. Now it's important that I'm actually going to escape for 1 second. It's important that I created my object right in the center of Fusion360. If I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be able to rely on there being an automatic plane right there, and I would have had to have done some other things in order to create a plane. But since I created right in the center, I'm good to go. So I'm going to create the sketch, put it right in the center there. And now I'm going to create that kind of fanciful curve, and I'm going to again go back to the fit point spline. I'm going to make sure that I snap to the top of my object so that spline starts right at the top. Maybe it'll be crazy. I don't know. We could make it really big and obnoxious here. I'm actually going to stop it right about there so that I can showcase another option that we have for creating objects in just a little bit. I'm going to kind of make this. This is going to be wacky, but that's all right. I'm going to make this here. All right, so I think that looks fine for now. Don't have to fuss about it too much. We're going to finish the sketch. Oh, my sketches looks like they were off. Now they're on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take that profile, that circular profile, and we're actually going to sweep it or use it to create an object that runs all the way along this path and create this sort of curvy cylindrical object. It's really easy to do. From the Create menu, we're going to choose Sweep. And then we have the profile, that's the circle. And the path it gets swept along, that's the path. And it pretty much does it for us, right? Again, we can use the arrow if we're not quite happy with exactly where it goes. But for the most part, it works very well. Important to keep in mind the operation. Again, just like extruding, we have the option to cut with this, or just use the intersect, or make a new body, or even a new component. But we're going to join it. I want it to be part of this thing. So I'm going to click OK. So now I've created a sweep, right? That's pretty easy. You can see how you could create pretty dynamic objects that way. Let's say I wanted to connect this to this piece here, right? I could do that without redoing my sweep. And in fact, I can come in here interactively in Fusion and just click on this face, and then right-click and choose Press Pull. And you can see here now I get a kind of an interesting little arrow here, which allows me to just bring this out if I want to, right? I could bring it all the way here. And now it's going to make connection with my piece. Kind of makes a funky connection. Maybe it should have gone up a little bit more. But for the most part, it makes a connection. So I'm going to say OK. Right? And now I've got maybe something a little bit more interesting. at least interesting in some respects. So now we've created a sweep, right? We took a profile, we swept it along the curve, and then we also press-pulled that face so that we can create some faces that way. Let's harness some more parametric editing capabilities. Let's say now that I've created this piece, I've created a problem area, and indeed I have, right? Notice how the joint here, where these two come together, it's kind of thin, right? Doesn't make a seamless kind of fusion to each other, right? How could I fix that? Well, if the base was thicker, right, then it would mask the fact that it's kind of entering at a weird angle. Gosh, it's too late to do that, though. I already made the revolve object, but it is not. So all we need to do is find the sketch that is associated with that revolve object. And you can see it's sketch number 1 in the revolve component. If I right-click, choose Edit Sketch, I can come in here and grab my points just like I did before. Remember how I needed to thicken that base up, right? Let's thicken it up. Let's make it really beefy. Okay, so I'm going to thicken up that profile there. Then I'm going to choose Finish Sketch, and Fusion is going to instantly update my piece, right? Let's try that again with something else. Let's try that again with the sketch that made our sweep. Let's edit that sketch. Oh, wrong sketch. Let's edit that sketch. All right, so we're editing that sketch, right? Maybe that's too crazy. Maybe I needed it to make more of an ear shape. Maybe we're going to make it more crazy, right? But look, we can adjust. We can do whatever we want to make it how we want it, finish the sketch, and our sweep instantly gets updated, right? That is really one of the great things about Fusion, is the ability to continually go back, continually adjust, continually change how your piece looks, and it will update, So it really is a great thing to be able to do. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed how to make a sweep object, how to make some planes on your object, and also how to do a little bit more with editing your sketches and harnessing the parametric editing possibilities of Fusion. Stay tuned for some more Fusion demos where we'll explore other object creation options and build more complicated objects.